Hello, sweet pleasure seekers. We're about to go live talking about games. DIY.
Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Welcome, my sweet pleasure seekers. For those of you who are avid listeners of The Pleasure Zone, every once in a while, I will throw in something about DIY something or others. I had some DIY on how to make your own sex toys that were more like, well, it was like making your own whips and things and what you can use around the home that is, that you don't have to go out and spend an arm and a leg on getting some fun, kinky things going on in your life. And so today, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to talk about DIY sexy games that you can gift? Whether you're gifting them for the holidays, we're a few days into Hanukkah, whether you're gifting for Christmas, whether you're gifting for Kwanzaa, whether you are, getting ready to gift for Valentine's Day or somebody's birthday. If you just want to gift for the heck of it, because you have a sexy somebody in your life and you're thinking, what can I do that's playful and fun and like affordable? And also this is a way to kind of give something that's home crafted and that comes from the heart and comes from your loins too, like inspired by your crotch. How beautiful is that? That is like, and your pleasure and everything that could bring you. So not a lot of things get to be put out in the world and gifted that are inspired by your genitals, I bet. So this is one of those that is inspired by pleasure and quite likely by your genitals. So we will be playing with all kinds of different games tonight. Games you might already have, things you can make, things you can do, things you can gift, things you can redo, like remake, rehash, have fun with. And I like to try and keep these things all under like $20 and possibly reuse some of the things that you might have in other games that are lying around. And one of the things that keeps popping in my brain is like Monopoly money. So I'm sure I will come up with a fun idea around Monopoly money. And I think too, there are so many cool games that are out there that can be converted into a sexy game. So we can look at some of the ones you've already got and some of the ones that you could gift, whether you've already got them and you want to redo them. You can always edit the board game. You've got a 10-year-old Monopoly game you haven't done anything with in a while and you want to remake it into something sexy, go right ahead. How fun is that? So hopefully the people you're gifting these things to are not the kind of people who are like, OMG, you gave me a handmade gift. Oh, I can't believe you didn't just go out and buy something. You got to know who you're gifting to. So make sure that if you are gifting something like this, that this is to somebody who would appreciate it. Sometimes making your own games can be a bit of work. I made a game for my brother a couple years ago, not a sexy game, but I made a game for my brother. It was actually a family effort and he still hasn't gotten it. So we're hoping to give that to him this year. But I went to the lengths of actually like creating a board game, like a board for it, getting it printed. It's like official, it's a game. It has playing pieces. It has playing cards. It has like the whole shebang and it has no rules because that's the whole point of it, is that it has no rules. So when making your own games, there's a lot of different resources you can look at. And why would I even be talking about this stuff? Well, one of the things I love to do is open people up to great new ideas for pleasure, whether we're looking at this from a historical standpoint, a philosophical, the philosophy of sex. We haven't really gone philosophical so much. However, I could. And, talking about things from the psychological, anthropological, historical, biological, physiological, all those things that have to do with pleasure. I talk about all those from things like, kinks to, regular vanilla sex. This can be used, all these games can be used both for, vanilla sex, as well as you can kink them up. So you can take these to any level. We got beginner's level, and we got the super advanced kink to the max level, and you can take these on any level that you like. And what I like about this is that you can have a whole stash of these games around your home and nobody would even know, because they can look like your regular playing games that you might just have around, right? I assume everybody's got games in their house, but maybe you don't. And the only difference is that the way you play them can be a little different. And then you can also have some of the homemade ones that you can, create even your own packaging for and have them tucked away and have them in your own private place. So why I talk about this stuff is because as a sex and intimacy coach, I'm always looking at how can we add more fun into our lives? How can we add a little something, something, having conversations can be great, and communication is key. I always say that. And one of the ways to communicate is through something playful and fun. So adding games to this can be a lot of fun to kind of take off the pressure and bring in the play. And a lot of times adults will, when they do play, they'll get into play that's competitive, purposeful competition, like you're playing poker to win money and save your house because you put your, house on gamble or something. Or, it's playing to win. It's not usually just playing for the pleasure of play. And this is helping you adults be able to step into more play in a pleasurable, consensual, and also like no competition kind of way. And I love doing this because what I know through my work as a holistic health practitioner is that we need more pleasure in our lives, and we need to be able to find resources and look at different things and look at things in different ways so that we can add more pleasure, relax a little bit. This world is incredibly stressful, if you haven't noticed. And if we could just have a little play every day, that would be great. So what I would love for you guys to get, if you are into making your own sex game while we are doing this show, some of the things that you might want to have on hand are scissors, cardstock, some markers. You can also do a few other things, like if you happen to have spare dice, grab some of those. If you happen to have any games that involve letter cubes, like old Boggle games, you can grab that. If you still love your Boggle, then don't mess with your Boggle game. What you can do is, if you're in North America and maybe other parts of the world too, you might have dollar stores, or I don't know what they're called in other parts of the world, but dollar stores are a great place, and craft stores, to find little wooden cubes, and you can make your own dice out of them. So you can get the little wooden cubes, and then you can put your own letters on it, so you can make your own alphabet games. You usually want to do at least 16 cubes, as Boggle has 16, but 25 is even better. So a 5x5 playing board that you might want to use. Also, you can get other things like popsicle sticks and cut them into pieces, and they can become tiles for, say, like a sexy Scrabble. However, if you already have Scrabble around your house, you can always take your Scrabble board and you can reinvent it into a sexy Scrabble. So how do you do any of these things? If you've already got games around and you're not really interested in going full DIY, let's talk about some options that you can do with things that you've already got around your house. Starting with Boggle, because it's one of my all-time favorite games, and I already play a few versions of Boggle that you might not know existed. One of the versions of Boggle I play is regular Boggle, where you find real valid words that are in the dictionary. Boggle number 2 is words that I know from any language can be included in Boggle. And Boggle number 3 is Alien Boggle, where if you're really frustrated and you can't find any words, then what you do is, I don't know, some of you are probably looking at this, so you can see the letters and you're like, ash, lash, and you're finding words already. I know, I get it. My brain does that with Boggle. So if you're looking on video, you might be able to see my Boggle game here. This is a Boggle from the 1980s, taking you back. I don't even think they come in this yellow brown color anymore. They used to be blue. They're blue now, I think, and they used to be this lovely late 70s, early 80s brown yellow. So you can take these games and you can turn them into find the sexy words. So it might be a little bit trickier, but you can have fun with it. So you can even invent words, right? So alien boggle, like you can just invent a word like squiff. Now, alien sexy boggle could be like squiff is, and then what happens with alien boggle is that you actually find the word, but you have to explain what the word means. And then you have to say where the word is from too, what planet it's from. So squiff, for example, could be from the planet Qualox. And from that planet, squiff means that you just had a roaring orgasm that also made your eyes pop out. So that's a squiff. So you can have fun with these things. It doesn't have to be like totally serious, right? Like you can just have fun, say things, get language out of your mouth. And when it's playful and it doesn't matter, then saying things like having an orgasm where your eyeballs pop out of your head is sometimes a little less daunting to try and say than to say something in a sexy way, like, oh, it was the biggest cum explosion of your life. Like that could be daunting for some people. So make it playful, make it weird. That's one way to go. Find the sexy words, invent some sexy words. So you can invent sexy words and then you can describe. It doesn't have to be alien sexy, but I'm part nerd, so I like alien stuff. But you can just go with make it up sexy, and you could make up a word like, scythe. And what does scythe mean? Scythe means that you're going to have the blowjob of a lifetime. And then guess what? Take action. So the fun thing about finding words in any word games is you can create the challenge that if you find the word, then you take the action. You could have a game with one board of letters that could last you an entire evening of play. And it gets you creative. You can just make things up. I know that for some adults, it's really daunting to make things up. And actually, it's almost painful for their brains to think that they can just invent stuff out of thin air. And I get it. So I don't want to stress you guys out. There are other options. You don't have to play games where you invent stuff, although it can be a lot of fun and weird. And especially if you're sort of nerdy like I am, and inventing words is a lot of fun, and inventing sexy words is even more fun. Just have so much. What could be better, really? Boggle with sexy, crazy words that you invented that you now get to describe to your lover and then take action. Hello, who doesn't want to do that? Right? All of you out there are like, right? I know, because most of you are like big nerds that are listening to me, because that's how we roll on this. That's how we roll. That's just how we roll. Now, I have other games too. I love dice games, and I have a game called Tenzi. So some of those game creators out there, feel free to give me some creds out there for promoting you. I actually used to work in the toys and games industry before I went full hog on my own and went into being a holistic health practitioner. I was a part-time holistic health practitioner, and meantime, I had a full-time job working for a toy company. So I got to look at a lot of toys, how toys work over time, some real basic understanding of how to make rules make sense. I worked with some of the people who were like the lady who created Balderdash. I met her on many occasions, worked with them through one of their game developments. So wasn't Balderdash, but it was one that came after Balderdash. And a lot of other games too that you might have seen up and around in the world. So I won't name names right now, but that industry in itself is super creative. So anybody who can come up with games like that could also come up with sexy games. But however, the industry is not really geared wholly towards sexy games. Plus, a lot of what's going on is people are just taking games like these and they're turning them into sexy games. So my other idea is, and the reason I grabbed Tenzi is because I like colorful dice. So I grabbed different colors because the different colors can represent different things, which can be helpful. So for this case, I grabbed 2 dice, but you can have a game that involves 3 or more dice. We'll start off with a really simple dice game. And what you would want to do, so these are regular dice. You can buy sexy dice and go pay your $20, or you can create your own with literally go to the dollar store, get yourself a pair of dice, buy yourself some fancy dice for maybe a couple more dollars, make your own, get some of those wood blocks that I was talking about, color them up and put your own, have 2 different colors of blocks and put your own numbers on them. It helps to have something that will indicate differences, right? So whether it's letters or numbers, when the dice are little, writing words on it can be tricky, but what you can do as well is if you do have the wood blocks, you can get like little stickers, put them through your printer, do like a size 6 print on them if your eyes are good enough to read that. And then you can Mod Podge over it. So Mod Podge is like the stuff you use for crafting that would keep the paper on there really well, right? So it's like a shellac sort of, but it's less dangerous than shellac. So Mod Podge it, let it dry. You can have your own dice that way. And then what you want to do is designate the numbers. So numbers 1 through 6 and numbers 1 through 6 on this side. So while we go to break, I'd love for you guys to think about what, if you have 2 dice, what are things that you might like to do? Maybe 1 die represents actions and 1 die represents locations. And there are many other variations, but we'll talk about some options when we come back from break. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back to talk about DIY sexy games that you can gift right after this commercial break.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. Tonight we are making some DIY sexy games you can gift. And before this break, we were talking about some games that you might have around your home that you can adjust into some games as well, like using Boggle, finding sexy words. I realize I have a whole bunch more of those to share with you. I will do that. But I did get into dice games because I love them, and this is something that'll be super easy for you to make or create, right? So if you can just go get yourself some dice, you want to make sure that you demarcate that there's 2 different ones, because the numbers will be hard to tell them apart if you're using number dice. If you're making your own and getting wood and you are putting words on one, then you might want to do one whole dice with locations and another whole dice with actions. And then say, for example, you have another die with a different color, you might want to indicate clothes that have to be taken off, right? So you might want to start with one die and get down 3 rolls each for the clothes that have to come off. Say, for example, first thing that has to come off is that sweater. Okay. And then the next roll, it might be your socks. The next roll, it might be your underwear. But wait a minute, your pants are still on. So then you've got your pants with no underwear. You're going commando. We know who on this station loves going commando. I won't say who that is, but we have a host who is the commando queen. So, and she's got a business that's called Mrs. Commando. So Miss Commando or Mrs. Commando. Anyway, look it up. You'll find out who that is. So we got our 3 dice, and each die can represent something. I encourage you, if you're using the number die, to get a list, and you can make this official. If you are gifting this, you can print this off on really nice cardstock. You can have, you can actually print it in a card if you want, or on a postcard size piece of paper. You can get cardstock for really affordable. You can also, if you don't have a printer and you don't want to get your own cardstock, you can always send it to a printing press for like under $1. You can get this printed, and for probably under $2, you could even get your list laminated. And so you have a nice, really nice gift, looks professional, laminated, nice die. Put them in a nice little bag so that you have a nice presentation for that. And you can, stick that as a stocking stuffer. It's a great, fun, playful thing to do. So if you need some ideas for locations, I'm going to just start with some for you so that you can get out those die, get out your list. And here's 6 ideas for locations. As I'm sitting in my office right now, I'm thinking the office, the bedroom, against a wall, on the kitchen counter, in the bathroom, and living room sofa. There's 6 locations right there, right? So you can see how fast that can get out. Now, if you're a little more daring and you want to go for something a little more risque, you might have some locations that are outside of your home, or locations that might get you caught, right? So it depends on how the level of riskiness you're looking at. Your level of riskiness could include things like, if you live in an apartment building or something. I say that because I did this once. Yes, I did. Taking me back about 30 years right now. All right. In the corridor of an apartment building. So, that's pretty risque. You can go for different things like bathrooms in restaurants. You can go for, if you are out and about doing things, it can be anywhere in a public location that won't be too risky, but sort of risky. So like bathrooms in a public location, you can get caught, but you might be okay. You might want to be doing something in a car that's in a parking lot, taking you back to your teenage years. So get creative. Depends on the level of naughtiness or a level of exposure that you would like, or potential danger you like to be in. Put down the locations that really excite you, that you're curious about, and that you would like to either try that you haven't tried, or that you really liked and you haven't done in a long time. So we got locations for one. Now let's take actions for another. So we can keep some of the actions really simple too, just for the beginner's sake on this. You can start with things like kissing, massage, stroking the genitals. We've got, maybe you've got, my brain keeps on going to kinky things, so I'm going to try and keep it really subtle. Stroking, genitals with your hands. And then we've got oral sex. Maybe that's even going too far. We've got, oral sex in the public bathroom. There you go. And then you've got, it's just a germ situation really that I'd be concerned about. And then you've got other things like maybe some hot and cold play. Maybe you can throw in some kink, like you can throw in things like foot play or massage, or I don't even know where I was at with that. So write those down. And then I was mentioning with the other one that you can either do this with clothing, or guess what? Add some fun, kinky extras. Like you could add in handcuffs. You could add in, on your list. So you're going to have one list for each die, right? Six things on each list. So number 1 represents this, number 2 represents that. So on your third die, we're going for blindfolds. We're going for some handcuffs. We're going to go for something that you can use for impact play, like a whip, maybe feathers, like a feather boa, something sexy like a tie that you can be tied up with, and massage oil. We'll just go like something normal for the average Joes out there that don't want to go too kinky. So right there, you have a lovely, sexy little game. You can print that off on a card, put it in a nice little bag, and gift that to your lover. And anytime you guys are feeling like you're not sure what to do, how to have a conversation, you can always say, hey, do you want to play the dice game I gave you? Whip out the dice game, roll those die, and see what shows up. It can be a lot of fun and take off a lot of pressure. And when you've got that list, you've already got combinations, right? So you've already got 6 locations with 6 actions with 6 kinky things. I don't know the permutation and combination on that. I did take finite math in grade 13, but I tell you, that was 30 years ago, and how to combine that and calculate how many options we have, I'm not totally sure. So there's a lot, I can tell you that. I think it's something like, I'm going with something like 60 combinations. I think it's like 60 combinations. So lots of options. Okay, so those are some options that you can use with die. There are a lot of other things you can use with die as well. If you've already got them, if you're already buying them, you can absolutely play games like you would, like if you roll a 7, what does that mean? You can make numbers from 1 to 12 and just have the combination die going on. So all numbers under 6 could be things that your partner does to you, and all numbers from 7 to 12 are things you do to your partner. So you can think out of the box on this. If you can't get different color die and you want to play it a little differently rather than locations, it can all be switched up from numbers 1 to 12 and then take turns rolling, right? So what do you normally roll in a game? You usually do at least 3 to see who the winner is. So best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5, just go and have fun with that. And definitely write on the list things that you would like done to you and things you would like to do to your partner. If you're gifting this, there isn't so much of a collaboration going on, but if you are creating these games together for each other to gift to each other, then you can collaborate on some of those ideas and have a lot of fun with that. So die are really, really affordable, and anybody can play with those. Even if you don't have hands, you can throw those with your feet or even with your mouth, stick them in your mouth and spit them out. I say that because I think a lot of times there's an idea that, this is only for people who are able-bodied. This isn't just for people who are so-called able-bodied. It can be for anybody. You can roll dice any way you like. And the next thing we're going to look at, okay, we've got these die. I'm looking at some things over here to my left, things that you've probably played with in your life that can be fun. The next thing up is sexy pickup sticks. I know you probably never thought of that. And in fact, neither did I till tonight when I was looking around going, oh, wait, sexy pickup sticks. So if you don't own your own set of pickup sticks, you can buy these. You could change the packaging on the outside yourself, right? You could put a sticker on here and just say sexy pickup sticks, write your own instructions on it. However, if that doesn't sound like fun to you and you really want to go full DIY, these are basically skewers. These are wooden pickup sticks, and this one's a little dented. You you can get you can get like wooden skewers. If they are skewers, you just want to sandpaper off the ends of it so they're not so sharp. So just get a little sandpaper, run that over that. You can paint these up yourself. And these would just be like the skewers, wooden skewers you would use for barbecuing, right? So super easy. You can get these kind of containers, like the pickup sticks is in a round cylinder. For those of you who are not watching, it's in a round cylinder that you can put a lid on. These are available usually at art stores so that you can put your art in to hold it. Also, they're good. You can get them for mailing as well. So you can buy these to put and store your game in. You can have the different colors represent different things again, right? So if you happen to be, playing the game, if you lose, say, so we play pickup sticks a little different, but our rules for pickup sticks is that if you move the pile, then you don't get those points, so you lose those points. And whoever has the most points might get something after they play, depending on what the last color is that's left. So say blue is left, maybe you're going to have something that would be potentially blue balling. So you could have some restrictions on pushing edging, maybe. You could have something here that's if your last pickup stick is yellow, then you could have that whoever is the winner either gets to receive or gift. That would be up to them. Yellow could represent something for you to the effect of what would yellow be? I would say, urination fascination. You could have some kink involved there. You could have some pee play. And we got a red one here, which could be something that, these are just all kinky in my brain. These would be like spanking your bum till it's red. That's what I'm thinking. And then we have green ones, which would be like putting food on somebody's body and eating it off. And then there's a black one too, which is supposed to be like the most points. And the black one to me would be like the blackout. You get blindfolded, you get tied up, you get all kinds of fun happening. Okay, that's the naughty version. Can't even right now think of a not naughty version because my brain has gone to the naughty world like hardcore. So you can, I'm sure, consider that you could create your own version. It might just be something lovely like last one is yellow, we get kisses. Last one is blue, we get snuggle time. Last one is red, we get to have some love making. Last one is black, it's a wild card. It could be anything. So write down your rules for engagement, what your colors would mean for your pickup sticks. Make your own, buy your own as well if you want, and then just change the packaging. That can be quite easy as well. So consider that you can recycle, reuse these games. You can always get them at secondhand shops as well to get bits and pieces out of it. So lots of options on where and how to find these pieces. We will talk about some more DIY sexy games when we come back from this commercial break.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. As we were on commercial, I was just thinking, I bet there's a lot of you out there going, I would love some of those games, but who's got the time? If you write to me and you're willing to pay me, I will make you some games we can discuss. Because as I mentioned before break, I actually really loved being in the toy industry, and I really had a lot of fun doing that. Perhaps I will put a course on my platform, my teaching platform, for some simple DIY games, but you'll have to look for that in future because I am getting everything moved over to a much better platform, and we will have more courses up and coming for 2024. And so I'm writing this down: sexy games, DIY course. It will be super affordable and super fun. So if you're not quite able to visualize what I'm saying when I'm talking about these things, that's cool. Not everybody can visualize what's spoken. So if you need a play-by-play, hands-on, and instructional, you just let me know if you are interested. And if I get enough interest, I would be so happy to create a course. So when we're talking about different games that you might have around the house, we got things like I mentioned Boggle earlier. And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking that, we got, 26 letters in the English alphabet. Now, if you are in another country and you have, I think Hungarians have like 50 letters in their alphabet. I'll have to double check that. If you use any kind of Chinese dialect characters, there's a lot of characters that you could be playing with. So depends on how this works for you, but I'm sticking with the English language for this one. 26 letters, no accents like the French alphabet. And what you can do is just come up with your naughty alphabet. So say we start with the letter A. We can go with, what could A represent, kids? That's right. It could be like ASS, spanking, or licking, or whatever, ASS, play. I'm not going to say the word out loud so that we don't get, B could stand for BJs. For those of you who don't know what a BJ is, just comment below and I will give you the full word on that. C could stand for that ever so naughty C word. Both, whether you have a female genitalia or male genitalia, you got, in English, there are definitely two naughty words that can describe your genitals that start with C, could involve some licking. So D, you could be spanking the D. Guys, my brain has a lot of fun ideas. Go through the alphabet, find some naughty words that represent every letter, and then you can either use the die and just see, pick one out of a bag and put it down. You can do that with Scrabble letters as well. Just take one out and put it down. One of the things you can also do is make your own, right? Like I'd mentioned before. I recently, well, a year or two ago, I made myself a new rune runes to play with, and because my old runes, one of them had cracked, and so I created my own out of wood, and so they're just like little pieces of 1 centimeter wood, branches that got cut out, so they're discs of wood. Because my husband's a woodworker and we have a forest. Well, my husband's in construction. We have lots of tools and we have a forest. So that was easy and free. And I just wrote on the wood and then I can just pull out things from there. So you can do that with any alphabet, whether it's the, Norse alphabet, Norse runes, or whether you've got the English alphabet or whatever alphabet you want to work with. Super fun to get creative. I bet you could come up with 26 naughty things. If you can't, give me a call. I'd love to play with you. In a 15-minute call, we can come up with your 15 naughty words for your game for sure. So we've got letter games, we've got all kinds of games. One of the games that you can play too is that you can have, say, for example, you decide that you're going to have a cuddle movie night that can go extra more fun, that it can become like, say, for example, like a drinking game. But before you start, you can create a bunch of cards, like say 10 to 15 cards of different things. Like every time maybe somebody touches their nose in the movie, you have to kiss, you have to kiss, right? It's kind of like when you go to a wedding and they tinkle on the cup, and then and then the couple has to kiss. It's like that, but you're watching a movie, somebody might touch their nose, you have to kiss somebody. Somebody says the word bum and you have to spank a bum. Somebody maybe says the word tree and you got to pull your pants off. Like, you can make it really fun, and you can have your own card references for that as well, so that watching a movie can be interactive, playful, and sexy. And you can do, you can just keep it really simple, but I like to complicate things and make it like three times like the level of play. So you could just keep it simple to every time you see a couple touch, then you also touch. If this is like a really new thing for you, then you can just keep it to that. If you want to up it, up the level, then you could be doing everything that the couple is doing in, say, the movie / porn. You could imitate that. But it's tricky when it's porn, guys, because sometimes there's like so many things involved and you might not have the props. So watching regular shows, using words that they say a lot in the show can be helpful as keywords, especially if it's a movie or show you've already watched, then you're not really missing anything. It's more like the astute listening to be able to, hey, if I hear this word, I get a kiss, woo, like bonus, right? So it can create a lot of fun there as well. And whether you're doing that with movies or whether you do it to my podcast, go listen to my podcast. Go listen to all the podcasts on Inspired Choices Network. Get your list of words and get yourself turned on, horny, and having fun with your lover, because why not? That's what we're here for, guys. That's why we exist, is it not? To inspire people. And if that's going to get you having some fun and getting yourselves out there and getting all sexy, then that's just awesome. So I know that a lot of you also are probably thinking, well, I'm really not that good at any of this like DIY stuff. So like, what else could I do that wouldn't be like that hard? Like, I don't want to craft. I don't want to go to the store. The chances are what you do have at home is a piece of paper and a pen, and you might even have a jar or a bag. And you can just use that to make a game. What you can do is similar to the dice. You can just write out a bunch of ideas of things you'd like to do. And in this case, I really invite you to collaborate on this with your partner, that you each write down 5 locations of places that you'd like to have fun. And it's okay if they repeat. And then you have another bag or jar, you can use a jar or bag, that has, different things you'd like to try. So you each put in 5. So collaborate on that. That one can be a lot of fun that you can do with each other. I actually recommend, I've recommended this one to many couples who have felt like they were in a like a blast state and they're not really sure what to do anymore. And that one's been really helpful for them. Motivational, actually, we used it as a motivating tool to get some business rocking for a couple. And they found it was really productive. So they have their sexy jars that they use. And so you can use this as a motivation tool as well. Like, hey, if your target is something to do with health, or if your target is to do with something emotional, and that you want to have your reward be something sexy, then you, at the end of the week, if you have succeeded, then you get to pull your things out of the jar and receive them. So you can absolutely use sex as a motivator. I am a huge fan as utilizing sex as a tool to motivate us into something greater, into the greatness that we can be, into happier, healthier, more pleasurable beings. And when you can have it be something that doesn't have to be overly daunting or serious, it can take a lot of weight off of each other, so that like one partner doesn't feel like they are always having to initiate or come up with the ideas. You have everything in the jar, it's ready to rock and roll. You have your little bag. It's a really great, just easy play game because you're just pulling out. Yours isn't like a heck of a lot of competition. But you can make it competitive. You can absolutely play games that are competitive and winner takes all, putting some stakes on the board. We'll talk about those next, when we come back from commercial break. So you're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email. info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, sweet pleasure seekers. So we've been talking about some DIY games tonight, simple things you can make, and simple things you might already have around home that you can play with. And I think using some games that you've already got, whether you've got, like, if you've got, for example, Monopoly at home, one of the things you can do is switch up your Monopoly board, put some new rooms on there. Like, instead of Boardwalk, you might have like the red light district of Amsterdam. You might switch it up to something a little foxy. So I'm just going to reinvent that whole board in my head right now. And no, so stop that, brain. And you can also do things like, if, in Monopoly, when you go to jail, then you actually put maybe some handcuffs on your lover, right? And that can be playful too. When they have to go to pay rent, maybe they can negotiate. It's either you pay your rent or you give me oral sex. You can have some fun with Monopoly in ways I bet you'd never considered. So I would love to hear some of your creative ideas when it comes to board games you've already got, maybe some things you've already done. And if you've got things that you've already done and you would love to share them, please, if you are listening on one of the locations that you can comment, please comment below. If you aren't listening on a place that you can comment, I'd love for you to write to me and let me know what fun you've been having with regular board games, how you've made them sexy, because you can absolutely do that with any existing game. Things like Clue, you could take out some of the weapons you could still use for fun, like the rope and the candlestick. Just maybe the revolver could be a little bit scary, but you could have some fun with some of those, and you can add some new ones as well. So playing with games, just adding a sexy twist to them can be really fun. Also, you can do one of the things where you do just play it like you would normally play a game with the regular rules, but winner happens to get to have like sex bonuses at the end. So if you win, then I would put what you're betting in an envelope so your partner doesn't even know what's going to happen. So whoever wins does not even know what's going to either happen to them. Of course, consent is required, so it can just be exciting. Like, you're going to lay down and you're going to just like sensory experience from like, whether it's kisses and hugs. Like my body's actually thinking about feeling all of this. It's like the words are not coming out, but you can have a lot of fun with just the idea that any game can lead to something playful and sexy, and it doesn't have to start off serious. It can also, what it can do is help you kind of get in the groove of connecting and having it be more playful rather than serious, and serious positions and do it all like serious. You can just get in and have some fun. You can do that with regular card games as well. You could play, strip fish if you like, or strip war. Strip poker is something everybody has always heard of, I'm sure, but you can do this with any game. You could do it with even that anybody, say for example, you're playing a regular game like, I don't know, like fish, for example, and at the end, whoever has like the red jack ends up having to do A, B, and C to the other person. You can make your rules up on this on your own, and you can use literally any games you've got lying around. One of the ones that I find super fun, and I have turned it into a sexy game just because that's how my brain operates, is a game called Mad Libs. And Mad Libs also comes out in book form as well. And in Mad Libs, they'll ask you to fill in things like adjectives, verbs, nouns. And so when you do fill them in, then everything can sound a little bit more crazy. So what you would have when you play Mad Libs is that you just ask the person to come up with an adjective, a verb, and then say another verb. And then you have them written down, and then you read them back to your partner. So if you're really uncomfortable with like saying sexy things, sometimes getting these words out of your mouth through games like this can be really helpful, so that it doesn't feel super serious at first, and then those naughty words just become part of your language and they roll off your tongue. And then, then you want to have them in your mouth for a really long time and like enjoy saying things that are super naughty all the time. Because my brain would love to say about 5 million naughty words right now, but I also don't want to be kicked off of all the locations we're on, and I don't want our station to get in trouble. So I'm not going to say those words, even though my brain really wants to. So Mad Libs, super fun, excellent way to have to tap into your silliness, your goofiness, your sexiness, your naughtiness. And there is, I think, a naughty version, and there are naughty versions of a lot of these games already that exist out there. Like I'm pretty sure there's like Naughty Scrabble or something like that. But a lot of them cost more money. So by all means, like Naughty Dice generally go for $10 to $20 when you can buy a set of dice for like $1 at the dollar store. So you can see why making your own can be sensible. And you can change your own dice up all the time, because you can change the card up with what numbers 1 through 6 represent. You can have several options for what 1 through 6 represent as well. And then you could have the beginner, medium, and advanced level of sexy dice game, and that can be all set up for you, and you can always get those laminated. I love laminating cards, so I'm a fan of that, especially if you might be having some fun sexy times with them. You don't want them getting any fun juices all over them that might ruin the writing. So I hope you guys get some ideas that you can play with. If you still feel a little stumped and stuck on how to do this, for sure, remember to get a hold of me, and I would love to have a 15-minute call with you. 15 minutes are free. Anything after that is paid for. And next week, we're going to be talking about what to do.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone. with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.